Adaptive Tournament, the USGA event last year, definitely kind of gave me a sense of belonging in a sport that I didn't really necessarily want to continue after college. I'm Ryanne Jackson and I'm 25 years old. Born and raised in St. Petersburg. I've played at Seminole Lake Country Club my whole life. Growing up, I played basketball and golf. That was kind of always the expectation. Both my sisters played basketball and golf. My dad coached basketball and golf, so that's just what I grew up doing. Definitely was always a better golfer than basketball player, even though I preferred basketball. In basketball, I ran kind of awkwardly. I ran more flat-footed, and every time I would get bumped under the basket, I would tend to kind of go flying and not be able to keep my balance as well as some other people. And so I think that was kind of the first sign of knowing that I wasn't kind of functioning the same way everyone else was. So when I was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy, it was kind of a relief, but I also feel like, up until that point, I didn't have a reason not to try and be able to participate with everyone else. So I think, in a sense, I gave up a lot. So muscular dystrophy is a weakening or fatiguing of muscles over time. It affects, there's so many different types of muscular dystrophy, and it affects everyone so differently, even if you have the same kind. So mine specifically is scapuloperoneal muscular dystrophy, so it affects my lower legs and then my scapula muscles. So I think as soon as I was able to walk, I had a club in my hand, so I think my body is just adapted. But I think me being left-handed is a product of my disability because I'm right-handed in everything else that I do. So I think even at age 2, when my dad put a club in my hand and me wanting to be on the left side of the ball was something because of the way my muscles were functioning at that age. My sisters both played in college, so I didn't want to be the one Jackson who didn't finish out. So I was like, I'm gonna keep playing. I think adaptive tournaments have really helped me and kind of find a new love for the game that I didn't necessarily have before. And I think my dad's kind of excited that he can still watch one of his kids play. It wasn't until the USGA's tournament last year, the inaugural one, and I'm not exactly sure how I found out about it. I'm sure it just popped up on social media, and I was like, I think that's something I might be able to qualify for. First, I was really worried that I wasn't going to fit in because I don't have what I would consider a very visible disability. I'm not missing a limb, and even though I walk super labored looking, I don't feel always associate disability with me. So I was concerned that people would be like, oh, why is she here? She's not disabled enough to play with us. She shouldn't be here. So that was one of my fears, but I feel like everyone has been so nice and super encouraging, and it's almost allowed me to accept my diagnosis in a way that I hadn't before. Just seeing people who have it significantly worse than I did, or have always lived with their diagnosis, or were diagnosed later in life. So just seeing all the different stories has really helped me personally. I remember trying to make a phone call to one of my friends before the tournament, and luckily he didn't answer, but I was gonna be this isn't my year. This is gonna be so embarrassing. I came in second last year. We're gonna be bottom of the pack. It's gonna be embarrassing, and I don't want to do this. And then somehow I ended up winning. So I feel not having expectations ended up playing to my advantage of not really thinking, having pressure going into it. It's definitely not something that I expected to happen in my lifetime. So to be able to have something that neither of my sisters has is kind of probably the most exciting thing for me. And then I was really excited that Florida had gotten involved in something so special. And so being able to it coming closer now is really exciting for me because I played in USGA events growing up. So to be able to play in an event in Florida and represent where I'm from, especially it being so close to home for me, and then also being able to represent the disabled community here is really important for me.